Hey there. I want to talk about something I think a lot of us know all too well. That feeling of being trapped, stuck in a cycle of pushing yourself so hard to be productive, only to completely crash and burn. And then feeling that pressure to just get up and do it all over again. If that sounds familiar, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to map out a path out of that loop, not with more hustle, but with more understanding. So let's gently walk through this together.
This this right here really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's that feeling of just scraping together every last bit of energy you have, just enough to get through the next thing on your list. All the while knowing that the second you finish, that wave of overwhelm is just going to come rushing right back in, leading to a total crash. And then the whole cycle just starts over. It's completely exhausting, and it is just not a sustainable way to live.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet it does. And if that's you, I just want you to take a breath for a second and know this. This is not a personal failure at all. It's a system breakdown. It's your nervous system doing its absolute best to keep you safe in a world that just demands constant output. Just recognizing the pattern, seeing it for what it is, that's the real first step to changing it. So, how do we stop the spiral? Where do we even begin? Well, we don't start by trying to build a skyscraper. We start by just laying a single solid brick. This is all about finding your foundation, the absolute basics that send a message to your body that says, hey, you're safe right now. And these are our first bricks. See? These aren't some complicated productivity hacks. They are the core five. The really fundamental physical things your nervous system needs to even begin to feel stable. A glass of water, a walk around the block, a few deep breaths, a decent night's sleep, a meal that keeps your blood sugar from going all over the place. This is where we start. Not to be more productive, but just to be. Okay, so with that tiny foundation starting to get in place, let's zoom out. Let's try to understand the mechanics of what's actually happening here. I mean, why do we get so overwhelmed in the first place? It turns out there's a pretty simple and completely blame-free equation that explains everything. It really is this simple. Overwhelm happens when the input is greater than your capacity. That's it. This isn't a moral failing. It's not about being weak or lazy. It's just math. When all this stuff coming at you, the emails, the deadlines, the family obligations, that internal pressure is way more than the energy you have to handle it, your system just overloads. So the goal isn't to just push harder. The goal is to change the variables in this equation. And this is such a crucial distinction to make. On the one hand, you have resourcing, using those core five tools we talked about. That's all about recovery. It's absolutely essential for getting yourself back to baseline after a crash. But capacity building? That's about freedom. That's the long-term project of actually increasing your baseline so that the same amount of stuff coming in doesn't cause a crash to begin with.
So let's get really clear on that input part of the equation. Your input load, it's the grand total of everything hitting your system at any given moment. And I really want you to notice that it includes internal pressure. It's not just your to-do list. It's also that voice in your head telling you you're not doing enough, you're falling behind. Understanding all the different sources you're dealing with is a game changer. Okay, so we understand the problem. We understand the goal. But how in the world do we get from here to there? Well, we build scaffolding, a gentle, supportive structure that we put up piece by piece. Let's walk through the 4 stages of what this rebuilding process actually looks like. This is where we started, right? In stage 1. This stage is all about shutdown, despair, panic. It feels absolutely endless and hopeless when you're in it. But please, if you're here, I need you to hear this. It is a normal, understandable starting point for a system that is completely and totally overloaded. This is ground zero, and it's okay to be here.
So here's the most important thing to know about stage 1. The only goal, your only job, is to stop the downward spiral. That's it. The bar is on the floor, and your tools are those super basic core 5 things we talked about. Grounding yourself in this present moment. Anything that anchors your nervous system and just tells it, hey, for this 1 second, we're okay. As you keep practicing that stabilization, even for a few minutes a day, you'll start to find little moments that feel like this, like stage 2. You still feel fragile for sure, but tiny pockets of clarity and maybe a little bit of energy start to show up. You're not just surviving anymore. You're actually starting to be able to respond to what you need. So in this stage, the whole idea is to gently build moments of margin, a little breathing room. You can use simple tools like the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique to just pull yourself back to the present. You can start to ask that overwhelmed part of you, hey, what do you need from me right now? You might even find you can tackle one thing in a focused 90-minute block, and then, crucially, you stop. And this brings us to stage 3. And honestly, this is where the game really starts to change. You've stabilized, you've created a little bit of margin, and now the focus can actually shift from just short-term recovery to actively building a stronger, more resilient system for the long haul. The pressure might still feel like it's there, but you've got way more insight into it now. So the goal becomes actively reducing that input load we talked about earlier. This is where you start making real boundary shifts, doing the deeper work on the beliefs that drive that internal sense of urgency, and simplifying your external world where you can, like building up a bit of a financial buffer. And finally, we arrive here at stage 4. And listen, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being aligned. It's a system that's proactive, it's sustainable, and it's a place where joy and ease can actually start to come back. You're not just constantly reacting to pressure anymore. You're building a life that naturally generates less of it in the first place. Here, the goal is true, honest-to-goodness, long-term sustainability. And the tools get a little more sophisticated. They become about upgrading your sense of identity to match who you are now, creating work and life offers that are genuinely in sync with your energy, and setting up foundational rhythms that create ease, not exhaustion. So after moving through these stages, what have you actually built? You've created a whole new architecture for your life, a system that isn't designed to squeeze the maximum output from you, but one that's designed to support your well-being, a system that's built for you, by you. And this new architecture, it really rests on 3 interconnected pillars. There's your internal system, your beliefs, your identity, your external system, your business model, your finances, your support network, and your nervous system, the foundation of it all, which you now have the tools to regulate and understand. They all have to work together. You know, when it comes down to it, this desire is so deeply human. It's that feeling of just wanting a structure to lean on while you heal, while you rebuild. This whole process we just walked through, these stages, these tools, this is that scaffolding. It's here for you. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to noodle on. What if we've been chasing the wrong thing this whole time? What if the goal of all this work isn't to figure out how to produce more, but instead to build a life with so much capacity and so much support and alignment that the good things, creativity, joy, connection, just naturally begin to overflow? What might that even feel like?